Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're doing our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We'll take a look at the dollar, 10-year yield, 30-year yield even, and then I'll work our way through all of the precious metals and commodities that I follow. So let's dive in there. I'll give you my financial opinion, and we'll see what's going on in the markets, at least from a charting perspective. So I've got the dollar ahead of me here. It is still rocketing higher. We have broken out of this long-term resistance line. It is starting to move on up. Usually when you break these resistance trend lines, that you get an explosive move higher. And I think we are seeing the beginning of that explosive move higher in the dollar. The DXY, the relative strength indicator is what I call it. Will this thing top out and turn back over? Well, we still have to see that. I don't see it yet. And this to me looks very strong, like it wants to continue higher for the DXY. This is a little bit of a headwind for our commodities and precious metals. It's definitely not a tailwind. So when we look at these things, dollars, and when people invest, they look at the strength of the dollar, because that means that people will prefer dollar-denominated assets. And that's where money flows will stick for right now. But I think what's going to happen with the increasing interest rates, and I'll show that next, and an increasing dollar is it's going to be temporarily in this mix where we have both of them rise temporarily and then one will fall. And I think the DXY will fall eventually. I just don't know the exact timing of it. TNX rocketing higher. It's up 4.67%. That's a pretty healthy move for a 10-year yield. We are now breaking out of and releasing from this resistance line and heading higher here. So we could see a dramatic move higher in interest rates on the 10-year yield. People are selling bonds in mass. Now, this is great because that money is rotating out, but in my opinion, when you sell bonds, you get dollars. Dollars will strengthen, bonds will weaken, and then those dollars will rotate into something else, hence the weakness in the dollar. That will eventually come. It's just not there yet. We're going through this big transition. And this is a very big transition, guys. We've been in a 40-year plus declining yield environment that we're just breaking out of now. We broke the downtrend line in 2022 early, and we're breaking this other resistance line just now. It's going to take time. This is how these things work. And during these transition periods of a rolling over in the stock market, a bottoming of commodities, a rolling over of bond prices, or an increasing of bond yields, it's a messy, volatile period where some things don't seem like they're working that well. Other things seem like they're not doing too bad until these big trends are established. And until these trends are clear to investors of which way they're going to go. So these bottoming areas are kind of nasty because you're going to get conflicting data at some points until the trend is established. And right now, this trend is starting to establish itself to the upside. So strength in yields means weakness in bond prices. It means people are selling bonds. So if we look at TLT is the 20-year bond price, we can see that we are looking ugly and heading lower in bond prices. So we've nailed this down pretty much on bonds and yields. We've been right in that area, which is lower bond prices, higher yields. And the 30-year yield also rocketing higher. And this is, in my opinion, a clear major breakout and a paradigm shift occurring in the markets. We're going from a disinflationary environment to an inflationary environment. So this is what this is telling us with all of this bond market data. Now, we are going through this transition period. And much like the Big Short, There could be things where people are positioning. They're trying to push certain prices down, accumulate physical metals. Things will look weird in these transition periods. Commodities, CRB, is still heading lower, although I think this is where you want to be in the medium and long term. Short term, though, I still think we've got a little bit more downside left in this before we move higher. Fall is coming up, and in the fall, we've got oil prices that usually weaken a little bit. They want it to weaken, releasing strategic petroleum reserves, all that stuff. And natural gas prices are between heating and cooling seasons. So we could see a little bit weaker prices in the CRB. We're seeing a little bit of a weaker price to sideways movement in gold. This is one to watch. But gold moving sideways, you have support underneath it. We want that support line to hold. Otherwise, we could see a larger pullback. Remember, we're in a transition period. People haven't seen this in 40-something years. In interest rates changing the way they are. Silver also weakening a little bit. We're right underneath this resistance support line. We'll see if we can punch through it or if we're going to use this as resistance and head lower, which is a possibility. We'll see. Platinum bucking the trend a little bit. We're right on this support line, this blue support line, which is this line coming across up here. Logarithmic is the one where I drew it, but we drew it in there. We're right on that support line. We'll see if that line holds. If not, I think we'll go a little bit lower down to maybe 770, 780, something on that lines of that, which is our cost curve, which is all in this area is a great time to be accumulating physical metals because we're right on the cost curve. XAU to gold ratio still weakening a little bit. We still have not seen this bottom yet, but I think at some point we will see it. It could be a move lower like this where we head back on down and then we'll move back on up. But we are at extreme levels down here where the mining companies are at extreme levels to gold. We still haven't broken the downtrend line. We are still heading lower in a downtrend fashion at this point. SILJ weakening a little bit, down 1.6%. We are sitting on a support line. This white support line is what we're sitting on. So we got to see some strengthening up there. GDX, we're also seeing a little bit more weakness, but we're right above a large support area. We're coming into support right where we're at. But there is a lot of weakness, and we have to turn this weakness and momentum around. We did break out of this downtrend line, but we have not established any momentum yet. Surprisingly, we have actually pulled back further. I would not have guessed that. Looking at crude oil basically a flat day today. Again, we'll see where this thing heads and goes. We could see further weakness in the fall, which is basically what's coming up right now. I do expect this to turn around and head higher at some point. Are we at that point? We'll find out. Natural gas was a little bit weak today. So I'm looking at crude oil, and we've got natural gas selling off quite a bit. Are we going to hold in this area, making a higher high? That's yet to be determined. I know we've got the fall coming up, again, between heating and cooling season. I hope we have a pullback here, guys. I want to buy more in natural gas stocks. I haven't really bought much anything up in this general vicinity. I bought some on this pullback. If we get another pullback, I will buy more. And I will let everyone know on the website, the Platinum membership. I'll let you know exactly what I'm buying, when I'm buying it. You guys can get first-hand information on the companies that I'm loading into. But it's good to see a pullback in the fall. That's what we normally see. I've been waiting for this. I didn't know if we were going to get it with the Freeport coming back online, and then they said it's not coming back online, and then they're going back and forth on it. But I'm still holding on to my shares. I'm just waiting for this pullback if we get it. XOP, yeah, you know me. Back in the days. Heading a little bit lower today. We'll see if this trend line holds. To me, I think we might see further weakness if natural gas pulls on back. We'll see what oil does. It's just kind of rocking sideways. I'm definitely not selling anything in any of these areas. I'm still a major bull in it. Do not confuse that. But short term, we're seeing a little bit of weakness. OIH also seeing a little bit of weakness, getting a little bit more of a bearish pattern set up here, bearish engulfing, where we could head a little bit lower. We do have support down here at 223, but we're right on support as well with 237. We'll see what tomorrow has in store for us, but we are seeing a little bit of weakness today. Looks like coal did some absolute incredible things. Uranium is starting to take off. Looks like we have a 4.2% day up, 51. I think it's lagged by 1 day, but it's up to $51 per pound. If you look at Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, we are heading higher today. That looks very good. Again, the resistance level we want to break out of is this resistance level at $18.10. We want to close above that for a couple of days. If we close above it, that is a huge win for the bulls. We could see a very big move to the upside. We have good momentum. Hopefully that momentum continues and we can get above 18.10 or so and close above it. We want to get about 19 and close above it a couple times. Maybe do a back test, still close above it, and then bounce. Uranium up today, but we had a little bit of momentum lost throughout the day. We're coming into a little bit of resistance. We've had previous trading areas all through here, and we are in that resistance area. This is that resistance area right there. We need to get through that resistance area. I'd say if we break above, man, if we can clear all the way at the top, if we can clear all that all-time high, I would be very bullish on it. I'd like to clear 94 and make a higher high. Our lows are still doing well. We've got higher lows all through here. We're doing well here. We need higher highs. And I can kind of draw this guy through here. That'd be another spot to break. I'll leave that up there. Maybe $86-ish. Close above, let's say close above 88. Closing above 88 would be a very good bullish sign. CCJ, our leader, basically getting congested today. It looked like we were trying to run, came back and sold off a little bit. Still doesn't look bad. Doesn't look that great, though. I wish this thing was a big, fat, bullish engulfing, similar to this day here. But we got a little bit of selling pressure. Let's see what tomorrow has. We could pull back a little bit. Let's hope for small down days if we get a pullback. But we've got good momentum in other areas. Looks like the rest of the stocks are doing quite well. So we'll see. Definitely subscribe and we'll stay up to date on this. TAN also looking a little bit stronger today, up day today. I still think this looks excellent. We are basically moving sideways after a very large up month. We're just moving sideways for these last 2 months. And then I think eventually we'll work our way higher. Remember, stock markets don't move that fast, guys. They're kind of slow moving if you're playing these big trends, but it still looks really good to me. We've got COPX heading a little bit higher today. We're still above this resistance line, and it's looking all right. Not great. I'd like to see more sideways action or a little bit more buying pressure step in here. Looking at the CRB to S&P 500. We're moving sideways. This still looks excellent for a continued outperformance for the CRB index in relationship to stocks. So that still looks good. Uranium actually beating the pants off everything. REMX, that ETF, still looking all right, moving sideways. We're above support here. So everything's still looking all right. LIT, another one that's right on support. Hopefully it pulls on up. There we go. We're right on support here. We'll see if this support line holds for lithium and battery ETF. The S&P 500 is right on support as well. We've got support right where it's at. That increasing 10-year yield is starting to weigh on it. I can tell you that. And then we've got the U.S. Composite Index, which is also right at support, down 0.74%, right at support, right underneath it. So we'll see if that thing holds. Looking at EEM, the EEM does not like the dollar being this strong. It's going to continue lower if the dollar continues to strengthen. I am waiting patiently for that dollar to roll over, which basically puts a tailwind behind EEM, which is emerging markets, and also behind our commodities. But we don't have that tailwind yet, and commodities have been very resilient in the face of a strong dollar. XHB, right at support, just like the rest of the S&P 500 and U.S. Composite Index, does not like rising interest rates. So right now, we're right on that support line. Lumber also moving a little bit down today, but it's basically been moving sideways. We've got nickel. Nickel's just been moving sideways. They've got this thing under control, I think. JP Morgan and all those likes just kind of slowly grinding it lower. Cocoa futures still looks good. I'm a big bull in it, and I think this will eventually work its way on higher. But we did have a down day today. If we were to zoom in on the daily candlesticks, there's that down day today, but still above the broken down trend line. Wheat heading a little bit higher. I still think this is bullish to head higher over time. We've got soybeans moving sideways. Let me clean this guy up real quick for you guys. I put kind of a couple of quick lines in there. So something on the lines of this and something on the lines of this. And I do expect this could potentially head a little bit lower. We entered this coming from the top side, consolidated, and we could move to the downside here in the short term for soybeans. Looking at corn, corn's a little bit more bullish. We've got a nice good bottoming like channel pattern here. That does look like it wants to go higher. We've got copper. Copper's putting in a low, a higher low, and if we break this at $3.72, we are in a new uptrend if it can break 372 and close above it. Coming down to Mu. Mu is heading lower. Looks like we're getting a little bit more selling pressure. This could continue until I see some sort of buying pressure. Good momentum, good candlestick sizes, and I think this will continue lower in the short term. Coming back down, looking at aluminum. Aluminum is right on support. We'll see if this support line holds and if we can turn this around. We do have a large candlestick down month, or I should say down week last week. We need to turn that momentum around, and it's going to take a little bit of time. Then we got the Baltic Dry Index. That's turning around. It looks like we're starting to get a little bit of buying pressure. Some positive signs there, although the companies did sell off today. But that's what we're seeing in the markets right now. And I'm seeing a little bit of weakness in natural gas, a little bit of weakness in oil, weakness in the precious metals. And coming up into the fall here, this is the go time usually, seasonality-wise, for uranium. Uranium undoubtedly looks the strongest, undoubtedly. So we'll see if that momentum can continue in uranium. Very bullish for uranium. A lot of the other areas, some are turning around. Copper, some of the soft commodities, they're looking better and good. But overall, we're kind of getting a mixed bag here. But overall, uranium is the strongest. And if you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. Platinum membership in the description link below if you guys are interested. Definitely one that I would hit up. If you're interested in learning more about markets and financial education, and you can see what I'm doing personally, which companies I'm buying, when I'm buying it, and you can see my portfolio in there as well. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.